All right, everybody. Welcome to this is the Ghostly Archive show this week. I'm doing it on a Monday instead of a Tuesday, but I have my guest today is it's a third part. He's been on for the first and second part on my other show, the Gen X News, and he's here today talking about decoding the Bible. Micah Dank is here. He's returning for part 3. I'll bring him in a second. Before I do, remember, we are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble right now. Apparently, I tried it on Instagram, and Instagram it doesn't like my formatting, and this system doesn't custom format it for Instagram. So no Instagram unless we're doing the mobile formatting. So today it's just the 4. Please remember to subscribe, share, thumbs up, heart, give a good rating if you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, which all shows go up on now. Remember, 5-star rating. It helps us show up in the charts. And that is a perfect way that you can help the show grow. You have no idea how much it means to small podcasters when you guys show up, support, put in your questions and comment and interact and share. It's like the best way you can help us build. And I appreciate everybody who shows up. Especially now, I don't usually do this at 11 in the morning or 1 in my time. So it's an afternoon show. So I appreciate everybody. A lot of you may be new here. So thank you so much for showing up and contributing your time and sharing. So I'm not going to take too much longer. Micah Dank, he runs the website. I'll pop it up here. Debunkmywork.com. And he has been studying the Bible and decoding it for quite a long time. He'll probably introduce you to that and once he comes in, but we're going to listen to part 3 of what he has to say about symbolism in the Bible, astrology, studying the stars in the Bible, and what he thinks it really means. So please welcome Micah Dank. How are you doing?
Thank you for that intro. It's great. And I'm
No
finally
problem.
happy to do this because part 3 is where things are going to completely make sense. In the first segment, we did the breakdown of the astrology in the holy text. I gave you a ton of scriptures and we broke that down. And then in the second part, we talked about the history about how the Bible was put together and all the truth and the fiction behind it. And then now, this is the part that's going to make sense because I could understand if people were a little, I guess, confused with the astrology, I suppose, or wondering what it all means. But when it comes down to it, it's more than the Bible. If you want to put up my presentation, I can read the first slide to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do. There we are.
So, if you don't know by now, the Bible is not original. You still might have doubts. Here is 6,000 years of ancient holy texts, going from 3 Sumerian tablets, the Babylonian Enuma Elish, the Code of Hammurabi, which is where the Jews get their punishments and code of ethics from, to the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, to the Gnostic texts, all of them, to the Quran, to the Book of Mormon. Um, all of it. I haven't included the Ethiopian removed books from the Bible here, but I've done the first book of Esdras, and I've done a couple more too. The Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to show you the same pattern. So I'm going to show you that the Bible is not unique, and this is where it's really going to drive home. So what I wanted to do was, because just to refresh some memories, what am I on? 159. Okay. What I want to do is I want to go over the 12 signs with you guys again, so you know where this is coming from. So, the first sign that I talk about is Aquarius, which is technically represented by the man with the water pitcher. Now, Aries technically begins the year, the spring. That's when the new year begins. But because Aquarius is kind of closer to our new year, I basically start there. And it goes back to the story of Zeus and the young boy, which I've told. I'm not going to tell it again. But look at the sign of Aquarius. It's a man holding a water pitcher, pouring it out over the side of heaven. Aquarius is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. So the key words would be son of man, man, baptism, because this is how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because there's a water pitcher here. Fountain, because all the Greek statues and fountains were built like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. There's water in this picture. Now, Aquarius in astrology is an air sign. However, because there's water in the physical sign, they used it to encode water meanings. Just like in Pisces here, too, which is the sign of the two fish in the water. Pisces is a mutable water sign. So stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, all that stuff, it's the same thing. Sorry about the dog, by the way. So Aries is the ram, and in Aries you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator, and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. In Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's Son. And then the third Passover is the Jewish Passover, where the angel of death passes over all the houses in Egypt, and anyone that doesn't have the lamb, which is a baby ram, by the way, lamb's blood smeared on their doorposts, their firstborn sons get killed. So the key words for Aries are ram, lamb, shepherd, and ram's horn. Now, I just wanted to jump in and say this real quick before I go to Taurus. I wanted to let you know, Melissa, that I've been studying this for a very, 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 very long time. I've been studying this astrology for about 12, 13 years now. And when I tell you that this is basically the easiest breakdown that you'll ever see, what I've done is I've been able to teach this to people. I've been able to teach this to people with the breakdown that I've been doing, and it's a lot of information that I've broken down as simply as possible. There's just no way to make this any simpler or easier, and you guys will see this. So Taurus is the bull, and when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow is the female bull, they're talking about Taurus. Then Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. This is another Greek story that it comes from. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, that's Gemini. Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. Just as the sun rises a degree on its axis starting on December 25th, it stops on June 21st, and for 3 days it rises to the same degree, hence moving sideways. It's a metaphor. Then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, they're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before when I said that you plant in Taurus, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, all these are things that are that you cultivate in Virgo. And you can feel free to look it up. In the Northern Hemisphere, where all these ancient holy texts were written, this is when all this was harvested. Now, Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. Jesus is called the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Libra is also wine season, which when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. Libra is also olive oil season or olive season. So all related things, all wine related things, and all olive related things are Libra. So keywords would be like law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, all lawly things. Wine, vineyard, wine press, all grape related things. Olive oil or olive oil too. Now Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is the betrayer. When a scorpion stings you or bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. And it's why the mafia has the kiss of death. It's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, then it's betrayed in Scorpio, and then finally in Sagittarius. This is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun. and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. Why? Because on December 21st, the last day of Sagittarius, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It is considered dead. It's the dead of winter. It remains at that lowest level for 3 days, which is why Jesus was dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's Son, it rises another degree and starts to make its way back up to the top. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. And finally, you have Capricorn. He's the goat because he likes to climb the mountain. If you've ever seen a mountain goat climb the mountain, it's absolutely unreal how they can climb on such a tiny, tiny, tiny ledge. And think about it like this. If you look at the zodiac wheel on the right, Capricorn's at the bottom. So you put a little sun at the bottom, okay? And you move it to the left a degree a day, climbing up alongside the wheel. It starts to climb up the mountain in Capricorn. That's why Capricorn is the goat. So those are the 12 signs. And I wanted to go over them. Now, you don't have to remember the keywords, so to speak. Just remember, it'll jog your memory when I mention them. That's all I'm looking for. But I want you to know that these keywords and this story, also known as the greatest story ever told, is not original. Okay? So 6,000 years of holy text astrologically encoded. Melissa, do we have any questions, or do you have any questions before I start?
Nope, go ahead.
Want me to just jump right in?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is Sumerian. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. What is the bull of heaven, Melissa? Wouldn't that be Taurus, the bull in the sky?
Mm-hmm.
May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in his harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who messaged you with sweet-smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. So the bear is Ursa Major, the great bear, which is Gemini and Cancer. The hyena is Altanin, the hyena, and it's 3 knots on Draco's tail. That's Aries to Sagittarius. The panther is Elanthropedia. The panther made up of 26 stars. The leopard is Camelopardalis. Camelopardalis refers to a camel or a leopard. Camelos is camel. Pardalis is leopard. The giraffe used to be called Camelopardalis. They used to call the giraffe the camel leopard because they would look at this thing and they'd be like, this is this tall, spotted, weird looking, it's a camel leopard. That's what they couldn't figure out what it was besides them. So it is in Gemini. Mriga, or the deer, is located in Orion, which is between Taurus and Gemini. The lion is Leo. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are Pisces. The water sign that signifies water. The bull of heaven is Taurus. We went over that. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. Now, the milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius' last day. Hold on a second. Yeah, whose center is in Sagittarius. The brewer and the fine beer is from barley, which is harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo, the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil from Libra. The mourning like their own brother is Gemini, the brothers. What I just read to you shows 10 of the 12 zodiac signs. It's just missing Scorpio and Capricorn. So that's right off the bat. That's the Epic of Gilgamesh. Enki and the New World Order. This is another Sumerian text. Father Enki, engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon, whose grow vines extending over the wild goats are born in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter the houses. The bull is Taurus. The dragon, is Draco. And the tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is the deer, which is Mriga, which is in Orion, which is between Taurus and Gemini, and the goats are Capricorn. We have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. The months entering their house speak of the months being locked in the zodiac houses. The zodiac house It's called a house, an era, an eon, an age. There's different words for it, but they all mean the same thing. There's 7 signs, and they're not just 7 signs. There's 7 signs in a row. And this is how this tablet is opened. This is the third one, Enki and Nurusaja. There's so many Sumerian texts, I just chose 3. In Dilmun, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off lambs, the dog had not been taught to make kids curl up, the pig had not learned that the grain was to be eaten. The raven is the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. These two are connecting signs. They're right next to each other on the zodiac. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. That's 3 signs in a row. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. The dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. So you have Cancer, Leo the lion, Virgo, the raven, which borders Virgo, and Libra, the constellation Lupus, which is the wolf. So Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra. That's 4 signs in a row. These are very specific patterns that they're making. They're not jumping all over the zodiac. They're making very specific patterns. The pig is a constellation called Porcus, which is in the southern sky, which disappears April 1st. So that's the Sumerians. So now the Babylonians. This is the Enuma Elish. Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, a Mushusu dragon, a mad dog, and a scorpion man, half fish, half man, half bull. The horned snake is Ophiuchus, the 13th sign. The dragon, Draco, the mad dog, is the dog star Sirius. The scorpion man is a Scorpio, which is the scorpion, and Aquarius, the man mix. The half man, half fish is the Aquarius Pisces border, which blends the fish and the man sign. They're connecting signs. And the half man, half bull is half Aquarius, the man, and half Taurus, the bull. This is the code of Hammurabi now. This is where all the, you know how in the Bible, the Jewish Bible, it says like, if you hit a slave and they don't do this, then you are to pay things of that nature. The law system throughout the Bible, that comes from the code of Hammurabi. That all comes from this. If a man has stolen an ox or sheep or ass or pig or ship, whether from the temple or the palace, he shall pay 30-fold. The man sign is Aquarius, the ox is Taurus, the sheep is Aries, the ass is the donkey, which is Acellus Borealis, which is located in Cancer. The pig is a constellation called Porcus. The ship is a constellation called Argo that goes from Cancer to Scorpio. These are 7 signs total. And just in case people are thinking that I'm just kind of pulling these out of my ass, what I've done is I've gone to Ptolemy's list that he came out with in 150 AD of the 48 constellations they knew about at the time, because that time stamps it. So these would be good. We have 88 constellations now. So obviously the other 40 that aren't being used because they didn't know about them at the time. It's the same thing when they were talking about the planets. They had 7 of them back then because they didn't know about Pluto and they didn't know about Uranus. Egyptian Book of the Dead. O mighty of knives, lady of 2 lands, the one who smashes the enemies of the weary-hearted one, the one who does what is wise, the one free of wrong. The name of its gatekeeper is Long-Horned Bull. What is to be said when arriving at the 5th portal? Words spoken by the Osiris Ani, the Vindicated. O fiery one, mistress of heat, the joyful one, the one whom the entities of the bald-headed do not descend, the one who asks that something be given to her without the swift glance entering into her. The name of the gatekeeper is one who spears the disaffected. The lady is Virgo, the woman. The long-horned bull is Taurus, the bull. The spear represents Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow, sometimes translated to a spear. See, the spear is the instrument of death in these ancient holy texts, and I'm going to explain it to you right now. The 2 most important deaths in the Bible have to do with a spear. The first one that you guys obviously think about is Jesus, who was hit in the side with the spear of destiny to check to see if he was still alive. The second most important murder in the Bible would be Cain and Abel, the first murder. While Cain hit him over the head with a rock, the name Cain in Hebrew translates to spear. So the spear is the instrument of death. That's why I said in Sagittarius, spear is translated. And why Sagittarius again? Sagittarius, the last day of Sagittarius, is the day the sun dies. So it's the day of death. So Sagittarius
Right.
means chapter for becoming top, eating bread, drinking beer, purifying the hinder parts, and being alive in Heliopolis. What will you live on, say the gods and spirits to me? I will live and have power through bread. Where will you eat it, say the gods and spirits to me? I will have power and will eat it under the branches of the tree of Hathor, my mistress, who made offerings of beer, bread, and corn in Heliopolis. Again, beer, bread, and corn, that's all Virgo, remember? Those are who are in Heliopolis bow their heads to me, for I am the Lord, I am their bull. The bread, beer, and corn is all Virgo when you harvest. The bull is Taurus. Now, Heliopolis is the city of light in Egypt. It was called On. This is why, to this day, still, it was considered, that's where you went to become enlightened. So when you go into a bedroom or a house and you metaphorically want to have light or become enlightened, you have to turn it on. And that comes back from Heliopolis, which was called On, the light in Egypt. The emerald tablets of Thoth. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Notice here he says Son of Man, which is how it's supposed to be. If everything just said Son of Man instead of S-O-N of man, everyone would be able to understand this much better. But because it was anthropomorphized into S-O-N, people have issues trying to connect this to the sun. Deep beneath the rocks, I buried my spaceship, waiting for a time. Oh, no, we don't have to do this one. But the Book of Enoch, biblical Gnostic text. So we did the Sumerians, we did the Babylonians, we did the Egyptians, and now I'm showing you the same pattern in all the Gnostic texts. Remember, the Christians hate the Gnostic texts. They hate the Gnostic texts because they're not canonized, because they don't know why they hate it. But I'm going to show you it's the same stuff. Chapter 8.2 in the Book of Enoch. Simjaza taught enchantments. Armoros the resolving of enchantments. Barakijal taught astrology. Kokabel the constellations. Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds. Sariel the course of the moon. This is why the Book of Enoch is not in the Bible, because they're openly talking about the astrological connections. That's why the Book of Enoch is not in the Bible. I mean, it's in the Ethiopian Bible, but it's not in our canonized Bible.
Right.
And in those days shall the mountains leap like rams, that's Aries, and the hills shall also skip like lambs, that's Aries, satisfied with milk. Milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose centers in Sagittarius. The Gospel of Q. Give us our daily bread today. Which of you would give your child a stone if they ask for bread? Or would you give them a snake if they ask for fish? The bread is Virgo, the snake is Ophiuchus, and the fish is Pisces. Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. Everyone who divorces his wife and remarries is unfaithful to her, and whoever marries someone who's divorced is unfaithful too. Which of you, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, wouldn't leave the 99 in the hills and go after the one that got lost? Divorce, marriage, court, law is all Libra. I'm sorry, they're chopping a tree down outside, so it's really between the dog and the tree. I'm gonna lose my mind today.
You're like, shut up.
Like, oh.
Well, here they'll fly we're lucky they haven't flown a jet plane across.
So we have Libra, and then the sheep are Aries, and guess what? Aries and Libra are opposing signs. So what am I on right now? 185. Let me show you this real quick. I want to explain this to you guys so you can see how important this is. Okay, this is the zodiac wheel. Okay, if you look at Aries all the way on the left, you'll see that Libra is its opposing sign. You just go across the zodiac wheel. This is an important connection to make. Aries' connecting signs are Pisces and Taurus. And I'm showing these consecutive, consistent patterns that you always see. You'll always see these patterns. It's never going to be not there. It's always going to be patterned. So let me just find where I was at. Book of Enoch. So where I say Libra and the sheep are Aries. Those are opposing signs. The secret gospel of John. And if you'll notice what I'm doing, Melissa, I'm only taking one example. On my website,
Mhm.
thebookmywork.com, I have the whole texts broken down. But for this particular presentation, I'm just showing you one example of everything to show you that they're all encoded the exact same way. Sophia saw what her desire produced. It changed into the form of a dragon with a lion's head. Dragon is the sign Draco. It goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The lion's head is Leo the lion. Aquarius, which is part of Draco, and Leo are opposing signs. The Gospel of Thomas. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. It's talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you, or you are part of it. However, in astrology, the lion is the sign Leo. The sign of the man is Aquarius. These are opposing signs on the zodiac. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net and draws it up full of fish. They're talking about the man Aquarius and the sign of the fish Pisces. These are connecting signs. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Mary questioned her master. At the end of an eon, will all matter be destroyed? As I've mentioned, each zodiac sign is considered a house. So the house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces, each sign is also called an eon. In Luke 22:10, he replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters. Well, the man carrying the jar of water is Aquarius. And you follow him to his house, and the house is Aquarius. That's what they're telling you. Because what the disciples were doing was they were asking him where to find him for the next Passover. And he was the age of Pisces. So he's telling them at your next Passover it'll be in Aquarius, and that's where they'll find him.
So is it interesting that we are entering the age of Aquarius right now? Didn't you mention that on the last show?
I did. So here's how
Mhm.
it basically works. Let me what am I on? 193? Let me go back to the wheel real quick.
Couldn't you guys like chop the tree down on Tuesday?
I wish
Or whoever those people are. Good Lord.
they like stopped for like 45 minutes too, so I thought they were done. Okay. You see the dividing lines between these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Those don't exist. You're not looking outside in the sky and everything's segmented. That's not how it is.
Yeah.
These actually mean something. We call them a cusp. We call them a handover date. It's the last 3 days and the first 3 days of the next sign.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 6 day time period where the energies blend.
Right.
Okay? So you have to understand is that that's 30 days is each sign. So when you're talking about this, you're talking about the last three and the first three. So you're literally talking about um, you've got 27 out of 30 days because the last three are um, what do you call it? The last three are blending days. So when you're talking about the age of Aquarius, you got to understand is that each age is 2160 years, but they
Mm-hmm.
all have a blending period too. So the blending period is which is what we're in right now. We're in the blending period between Pisces and
Yeah,
Aquarius.
like my husband is like right on the cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius, so he always considers himself both.
Yeah,
He
and,
looks
and
at
you
both because he's
have
born like right on the day where it kind of transfers. Whereas I'm like solid Aries, like double Aries signs in the thing. Like I'm so Aries, it's weird.
right.
Where but he's kind of blending. It's really interesting, and you can see it.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's a blending of the period. It's a blending of the energies. So the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. We did this just now. Gospel of Philip. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made his disciples great so they could see him in greatness. On that day, he said in gratitude, you who have united perfect light with the Holy Spirit, unite us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him, it's impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. So the olives are Libra, and the Lamb is Aries. These are opposing signs. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. Wine and oil both come from Libra. This is the Gospel of Judas. A nearby lake of still waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd psalm, our souls were restored. The lake of still waters is the Pisces, the water. The shepherd is Aries. Those are connecting signs. So the book of Jubilees. And on the second day he created the firmament and the I'm gonna move, hold on.
No, no problem. Just, you know what? I'll close your window there. Just mute it. Yeah. And I'll just chat with people and you can rearrange because it's distracting you and it'll definitely distract the people who are listening. They won't be able to focus. So
All right.
Micah is just moving his camera. He's trying to get away from that noise because it's like I'm having trouble thinking and I'm not presenting. So I can imagine how hard it is for him to
Does this
present
help?
with that. You can still hear it. Not as bad, but I mean, it's there.
Alright, this is the best that I can do unless I
Nope, no worries. You do what you can do.
right. So and on the second day he created the firmament in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above and half of them went down below the firmament. These dividing lines are called firmaments, and the reason they're called the firmament is because it's not a dome over a flat earth. That's not the firmament. The firmament are
Mm,
these dividing lines. I'm going to show you with this passage.
right.
Firmament is the dividing lines within signs. Some call them cusps, other handover dates, other dividers. There are many names for what they represent, which is when a sign hands over to another sign. The waters, multiple, are Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher, and Pisces, the two fish in the water. The firmament divides them and keeps them in line. So on the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, in this picture, that's Aquarius, and half of the water went below the firmament, that's Pisces. It's really simple when you understand this, to be honest with you. The Gospel of Emmanuel, discovered by Billy Meyer. You brood of vipers, and 2 times 1,000 years, you and your descendants who carry on false teachings, out of your own pride from motives and power and greed, shall be punished and your lives destroyed. So it will be when the human race begins to comprehend and separate the wheat from the chaff. The wheat is Virgo. That's when you separate the wheat from the chaff. This is astrotheology. The false teachings are the literal teachings they make, but as Emmanuel predicts, that in 2,000 years the truth will come to light. This is the passage that we hear often. It tells you that in the new age Aquarius, this has been predicted to come to light. Nevertheless, do not heed these false teachings, because millennia will pass before the people of these human races will be able to recognize the truth. Hence, following the fulfillment of your mission, centuries and 2 millennia will pass before the truth of your knowledge, brought among the people, will be recognized and disseminated by some humans. Okay, check this out. So this is gonna go. This is gonna drive you nuts. This Earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all the human races. But if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million people will exist, and the Earth will not be able to support them anymore.
Sounds
Where have
like
we
the
heard the
World
five?
sounds like
Huh?
the World Economic Forum and Georgia Guidestones crap.
Beautiful. Very good. Where have we heard the 500 million before? This gospel was discovered in 1963. Maybe something that was created in 1980. Now, check this out. 2,000 years ago, it could support 500 million, but if the laws are not followed in 2,000 years, which brings us to now, 10 times 500 million or 5 billion people will exist, and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. This is the Georgia Guidestones that were blown up. Remember when they were blown up? That was the best. Maintain
That was
humanity
awesome.
under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
You know, I find that so fantastically ideological. I'm going to comment on that because if they do their goal of 500 million people, do they literally understand that they have to collapse everything and that will be major disease, chaos, and yeah, I hope if they're left over, they suffer like that. There's just something crazy going on.
Yep. Since the human race will at the time comprise far more than 10 times 500 million people, great parts of them will be eradicated and killed. Truly I say to you, from now on I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vineyard, nor eat of the bread until I drink and eat again with you after my affliction. The grapes are Libra, the fruit of the vineyard, and the bread is Virgo. These are connecting signs. The Quran. Those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us, and why will he not show us a sign from heaven? Similar words were spoken by those who came before them, and their hearts alike. We interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith with all their soul. Looking for a sign in heaven. They're literally talking about God showing them a sign or interpreting it for him. They interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith. We're talking about other people being able to interpret the signs. The signs are the zodiac. They're literally called signs. And how beautiful all people see the love of earthly passions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses and herds of cattle and a plowed field. Women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the boys in Gemini. Horses are Sagittarius, and the cattle is Taurus. A plowed field is Taurus as well. Taurus and Gemini are connecting signs. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs. Verily, in the creation of earth and sky and in the change of night to day, here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. Again, the hidden signs, the zodiac. And among them, there are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it. And we covered their ear with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. The signs in heaven. Melissa, this is the Quran, by the way, in case we didn't make that clear. He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky. And with it we give plants of all kinds to grow. And with it we grow shoots of cereal. From them we grew grains, sitting in an ear of dents side by side. From the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar yet so different from each other. When fruits appeared on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripened. Truly, in this are the hidden sign for those who believed in God. The grains are planted in Taurus, then April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky, the grains grow, you reap in Virgo, gardens of vines and olives. Grapes and olives are pressed in Libra. These are hidden signs. Again, this is the Quran. And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of dates, date palms and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kind of fruits, while old age befalls him and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so that you can understand. The vines are vineyards in Libra, and the streams are the streams in the water signs of Pisces and Aquarius. That was the Quran. I know I had a bunch in there, but that was the Quran. The Book of Mormon. Nevertheless, I went forth, as I came near unto the house of Laban. I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. Yeah, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Both wine and lawly things take place in Libra. And after the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again. Or, in fine, after the Gentiles have received the fullness of the gospel, the natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in, or come to the knowledge of the true Messiah, their Lord and Redeemer. Therefore, remember, O man, for all thy doings thou shalt be brought into judgment. The olives take place in Libra, and the judgment takes place in Libra. See, it works out that way. Just happens to work out that way. And my father said he should baptize in Bethabra, beyond Jordan. And he also said he should baptize with water, even that he should baptize the Messiah with water. And after he had baptized the Messiah with water, he should behold and bear record that he had baptized the Lamb of God, who should take away the sins of the world. The baptism is literally Aquarius. That's literally it. It's a man holding a water pitcher, pouring it out. You put a child or a person under it, that's a baptism. Baptisms are literally just retelling the story of Aquarius. The man pouring out the water pitcher, and the Lamb of God would be Aries. And I looked and beheld the Lamb of God, that he was taken by the people. Yea, the Son of the everlasting God was judged of the world. And I saw him bear record. The Lamb of God is Aries. The Son of God, or the Son of Man, is Aquarius. Judging takes place in Libra. Libra and Aries are opposing signs. So I literally, let me just see what else I have. I have a book series, Into the Rabbit Hole series, that you can get on my website, where I explain everything that I've explained the last three sessions with you. It's an 8-book series. You have to read them in order. And I also have a kid's book. A is for Aries. It's a kid's astrotheology book. So my point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories, and we're not smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically, and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. So that is 6,000 years worth of astrotheology. As you can see, the Bible is not original. Every single ancient holy text that we've ever had, ever, is all broken down this way. And that's what I do.
So that's really interesting. And one time we had a question about the Mormon Bible because it has added on text. It uses the Bible, but there's other elements to it. Do you think that translation, do you think there's something different about that? Or
What do you
do you
mean?
cover? Well, apparently the Mormon Bible has like the Book of Mormon, and it has another book that they with all their rules and stuff. Is that like, are religions just building on top of this, or
It's the same story. It's the story of the sun going through the 12 zodiac signs and what the 12 zodiac signs are. Sure, names change, the gods change, things change, but it's the same story. It's a farmer's almanac, is what it is. It's how you learn the heavens. It's poetry of the heavens.
right, and how you're supposed to interact with it, or plant your fields, or slaughter your cattle? Or I had a question about them. Like, I've heard that where they had to paint their doors with the lamb's blood, otherwise they would sacrifice their firstborn. What is the concept behind that? Like, what was that, like an Egyptian thing? Like they were sacrificing the firstborn? Like, why would
Well,
they
the
do
lamb is
that?
a
And why
baby
would they
ram.
sacrifice their firstborn son?
The
Is
lamb
that
is
a
a baby.
metaphor?
Well, the lamb is a baby ram, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ram is Aries. The
Mm-hmm.
Jewish people are the people of Aries, the age of
Right.
Aries. The ram. That's why they blow the ram's horn in the
Yeah.
holidays. That's what this basically is. It's basically
So
telling you that if you don't identify yourself as part of the tribe of the age of Aries, your firstborn son will be killed.
And when they say killed, do they mean they will kill them, or they will die
The
by some
angel of
god
death would just take their
curse?
life.
So not guaranteed.
No,
Just
the angel of
fear
death.
kind of tactic. Okay.
Right.
That's why I was asking. I'm like, are they killing people's firstborn sons? Because there was that whole thing in the Bible where apparently they, when there was a prophecy of Moses to come, that the Egyptian pharaoh went out and killed all the firstborn sons, or whatever it was. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's these stories of kings who, in order to stop a prophecy, will go out and slaughter a whole bunch of males or whatever. So I was wondering if that was all tied in or something like that.
I mean, it just follows. It just follows the way the zodiac is. Basically, it's just
Right.
they tell stories based on keywords that link to the. There's a reason it's called the greatest story ever told. It's
Hmm.
because it is. It's the only story ever told, Melissa. It's the only story. The names change, but the way that they're encoded is exactly the same. It's the only story that's ever been told. The greatest story ever told.
So, is there any examples of literature or mythology today, like that kind of tries to mimic the Bible, like something you would see in movies, like Star Wars? Or are we retelling stuff with other stories today
Well, what do you
that are
think?
not the Bible?
What do you think Luke Skywalker is? It's the sun
Hmm.
taking the 12 steps in the sky. It's Horus.
Right.
It's all the same story. And I showed you how it was encoded in music videos and all sorts of things. It's the same story that they know that they don't want you to know.
And what power is it behind it if we don't know and they know? Like, is
It's
it that
understanding
real?
the heavens. It's understanding the heavens. Do you know why it's important, Melissa? You know how Taurus is the bull because you look in the sky and you see the bull, and then
Mhm.
you know that you have to put the plow on the bull on earth. It's as above, so below.
Mhm.
If you didn't know that or you didn't do that, you're not eating at the end of the year.
Right.
It was incredibly important. In the Bible, they talk about dream interpretations for harvest. That's the story of Joseph, basically. You know, he interprets the Pharaoh's Bible and he becomes his number one. I mean, the Pharaoh's dream and he becomes number one. This is
Wow. If
why it is
any
because we take for we. It's hard to understand this to really get this. Farmers understand
Mhm.
this. Farmers understand the 12 signs. It's a farmer's almanac because these.
I think that's probably why the Star Wars stuff that they're writing today is ridiculous because they don't understand what the hell they're doing. They're not
Right,
using the archetypes. You look at the stories and you're like, what's going on here? And it doesn't make sense. That's so deeply embedded in our psyche.
right.
Yeah, and that's probably why. Uh, just in case anyone who's out there in the audience, if you have any questions, please pop them up. We got about 10, 15 minutes left of the show. So if you guys have a question about any of the part ones, twos, or this one, or the astrology equated to the Bible, pop them up. I want to hear them. Go ahead. And I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No, that's basically it. I do you see how? Could you imagine how difficult it is to break down the oldest story that's ever been told into such an easy way for people to understand, and yet people will still
Mhm.
reject this and tell me that everything is literal?
Well, when you started doing this, like, where did you like, what gave you the idea that there was a connection
So
to even do this?
I have two mentors in this field. One passed away and one is still alive, and I learned a lot from them, and then I started working on my own once I understood the story. This is the story you need to understand. This is how you live. Because wherever we are, we have supermarkets, we have this and that. You can get like what's the worst thing that happens to us? Like something's out of season and it costs more. Like that's as
Yeah.
bad as it gets in a supermarket,
Mhm.
minus obviously all the crap that they put in the food. I'm not going to talk about that. But I mean, this is how you survived is understanding
Yeah.
this story.
So it would seem to me that we live in a society that is creating another system over top of that natural system of food production and survival that we're obviously hooked in and dependent on. Because most people, like, I don't know if you remember during the 2020 riots and people
Right.
were forming that sort of Chaz autonomous zone and they were trying
Oh,
to
that's
grow.
happening now again. It happens every election. Just
But
on
they
right on time.
but my point was is there I was watching their videos and they were trying to grow. Like they thought they were gonna have this autonomous zone and they had cardboard everywhere and they were throwing soil and they were trying to grow plants and I was like, we're all gonna die.
Yep.
We're all gonna die. They don't know how to grow plants. Oh my god. And I struggled. I try to grow and they die. And I'm like, oh my god,
Right.
I'm gonna die. I guess we could be hunters or gatherers again. That, if everything blows up, I guess I could go. If it's not toxified, I guess I could go collect berries, shoot a moose.
But Melissa, do you understand why this story is so important? It's the story of our survival. It's
I
understanding the
do.
sun and its cycles. It's understanding the
Yeah.
poetry of the heavens. Because
Yeah. Absolutely.
not only will it help you like grow food and know what to harvest and what to do when and where,
Yeah.
but it also excuse me, it also tells you the story of our creation, of our heavens.
Right. Yeah. It's tantamount. So, I mean, what? I mean, is there any other like? Why wouldn't they want us to know? Do they want to? Is it just a control factor? Like,
It
what's
is a
going
control
on?
factor. Absolutely is a control factor.
Hmm. It's interesting that it's at that depth because this isn't something they just started doing. This would have been something they've been doing for thousands of years, trying to control
I found it
the
through the
knowledge.
Sumerians. That's 6,000 years.
Yeah.
It's all the same story, Melissa. It's the same story. They just tweak it. They just change the names of the gods. They just change certain things. It's the same story.
Yeah. So I don't see any questions coming from the audience. Interesting enough. Let's see if there's anything on. Sometimes I get stuff on X, but it doesn't come through my system, unfortunately. Whoops. Let's pop it up here. No, we don't have any questions from the audience, so I don't know if there's anything you want to tie it up with and wrap up the show, but I mean it's really compelling. And anybody who's out there listening, I encourage you to go on to either Rumble, the YouTube. You can go on the X page where everything's archived. I'll pop that up right here and listen to part 1 and part 2 where he goes over this from the beginning. So this has kind of been like a 3-hour compilation of Micah talking about this stuff. So I'm Gen X on X77 under the like tab. All of my episodes are archived. Also, you can go to Micah's website, debunkmywork.com, where all of his books are, and he links to his YouTube channel. And so I encourage you to go check that out if you have more information. So do you have anything you want to tie off or end the
I
show?
do. I have a part 4. It's not as long, but I'd like to explain to you what I believe God is.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I can't do it right now, but I could do it if we do another one.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll see what the schedule goes. Yeah. Okay. So that's it then. No questions, no more to add. All right.
You have to really, really, really understand this topic. You have to really understand the history and really understand this in order to be able to make it so simple for people to understand. You know what I mean? Like, I just took you through 6,000 years in 3 hours. Like, you have to understand this in order to be able to do that.
Right. Well, like I said, everybody go look at part 1, part 2, and this one as for a sort of there's a narrative that throws through it. So there's a lot of information that wasn't on this one that will be in part 1 and part 2. And well, if you don't have anything else to add, Micah, I'll tie you into the green room and we'll finish this one up. I thank you for showing up on the show.
Thank you. And again, I'm so sorry about the dog and the freaking chainsaw and
well, that's why I normally don't stream during the day, because those stuff are more likely to happen.
Also, guys, I'm on X too. If you want to tag me in this video or whatever, I think I'm streaming on it right now. But I'm Micah Dank on all my socials. I don't hide who I am. I'm not. This is actually my last name. It's actually my last name.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming by, and we'll see you in a minute. All right, everybody. That was that. I mean, short show, but I appreciate Micah for coming on. Let's see if we have any commenting. Deborah says, thank you so much, Micah. Much appreciated knowledge. Fantastic knowledge. So no show tomorrow, everybody, because this show was tomorrow's show. I usually do from Tuesday to Friday. On Wednesday, Jer and Nish are coming. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what we're talking about yet, but it should be pretty interesting. Thursday, Beast System. That is 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Friday, don't forget, it's Tinfoil Hat Friday. That is at 9 p.m. Eastern. Emily joins me, and we're going to talk some strange conspiracy theory. I thank you guys so much for stopping by and listening to that show, and I will catch you later.